Hello, hello, I am the Mobious Strip, and today we are doing a new video on But They Were Colonized, the left's forever excuse. And before we get into it, I want to apologize. I decided to give up social media for Lent, so you may have noticed I've been gone for a little over 40 days. I did say in my last video that I'd be able to pump out a lot more, but I don't have a very large audience right now, so I'm only apologizing to maybe 5 people. So, now the Lent is over, I am back, and I intend to make more obnoxious and right-wing videos. On my channel, we look through events and topics through the lens of game theory. Really quickly, we're going to define game theory. An agent is a human being with free will or agency. A human being with free will or agency has the options of opening themselves up and lowering defenses for cooperation. They could also remain guarded, having the opportunity cost of being unable to cooperate with others, but they cannot be attacked. And of course, your third option is attack. While you attack, you could really harm someone who has opened themselves up for cooperation, but your defenses are also down. So if you are also being attacked while you attack, you both get hurt. A functioning society is when I can choose option 1 to open myself up for cooperation, and I can count on the majority of others in my society to do the same. With that out of the way, let's jump into today's topic. But they were colonized. The left-wingers forever excuse. How many times have you talked to a leftist and they dig their heels in and they say, but they were colonized? You couldn't possibly hold them to the same standard as the other group. They were colonized. Let's say you simply ask, why does this country have so many poor people? Why is this country so unsafe? Or just in general, what is wrong with this country? This country can be any country. It's not important what it is, right? So long as the country was colonized. Maybe you're instead talking about an individual that you personally know. They live in and grew up in the United States, and you ask, why did they drop out of high school? Why did they start using hard drugs in their late teens and early 20s? Why can't they get a job or start their career? Now, there could be good reasons for this. I'm not saying there aren't good reasons for this. But this person over here, the leftist, will just say his ancestors were colonized, and how dare you ask that question? So long as they're, not white. This seems to be a forever excuse that left-wingers will use for all time, but only for specific groups. And there are some people whose ancestors were colonized, and a leftist will never let them use that excuse. So we're going to look at this conversation through the lens of game theory as a discussion. So Agent 1 is, let's say, a conservative-leaning right-wing person. Agent 1 says one of the previous comments I've already said. So why is country A so unsafe? Agent 2 is the leftist. Agent 1 is assuming that the people of the country he is speaking about are his equal and are equally as capable in creating and maintaining a functioning country. This is the basis of Agent 1's argument. So why is Haiti so dangerous? Why is Jamaica so crime-ridden? Why is, you get it. The assumption Agent 1 is having is, aren't these people, at least as near as makes no difference, my equal? Well, why can't my equal do what I can do? Simply put. Agent 2, the left-leaning person, I forgot to mention, Agent 1 could be wrong in this assumption. He very well could be, but he is assuming that they are equals. Agent 2 loses their composure and screams, "They were colonized. How dare you even ask the question?" And often Agent 2 will actually attack Agent 1's reputation and go after Agent 1 socially. So in a lens of game theory, Agent 1 had lowered his defenses for cooperation, extended a hand metaphorically, and then Agent 2 attacked Agent 1 socially, of course. I don't mean physically, although sometimes that happens. And because Agent 1's guard was down and was attempting to cooperate with Agent 2, Agent 2 successfully is able to get Agent 1 with his guard down and do severe social damage to Agent 1, go after his reputation, get people to not want to be Agent 1's friend, maybe even get people to fire Agent 1 from their job. This prevents the solution from ever coming, as the problem cannot be identified, and Agent 1 now knows that he cannot trust Agent 2 to discuss things like this without Agent 2 going after Agent 1's reputation. This shuts down the conversation, and Agent 2 and the followers of Agent 2's beliefs, so left-wingers, believe incorrectly that their attack on Agent 1 and the social shaming of Agent 1 means that they have won the argument. In reality, Agent 1 has not been convinced, but instead has learned that they cannot talk about these issues with Agent 2 and has their guard up to prevent being attacked again. So the right cannot talk to the left, an issue that I think we are all familiar with. Now I'm going to make an actual argument here. So I've created this map, and feel free to let me know if you think there's some mistakes. When I was doing my final review, I guess I should have added Finland was technically colonized by Sweden, and there's probably a few others in here, but every country that's ever been colonized, I've turned red. And these are not going to be seriously disputed. These countries were colonies at one point. Parts of them or all of them were colonies at one point in history, are all in red. I've also created a group of white countries. These were, and this is not my opinion, this is the opinion of Milton Friedman. These were colonies that were subjugated to the rule of Russia under the Soviet Union. If you don't believe me, I'm going to play the clip now, because I always have a massive debate over whether or not Eastern Bloc countries were colonies. So here he is.
So, colonialism. Well, first of all, where do you have colonialism today? You have the classic colonialism behind the Iron Curtain. You have Russia, which is a master country. I mean, not the Union of Socialist Soviet Republics, but Russia, which is a master country with a great colony around it within the Soviet Union, in Poland, in Czechoslovakia, and Hungary. That's the great example today of your classic kind of colonialism.
Of course, in that scenario, he was arguing against a bunch of hippies, and it was during the Cold War, but you get the point. That's my argument. So red, people are not going to debate if these countries were colonized. The white, I recognize it. Communists don't like hearing that their people engaged in colonialism, but the inherent argument that the leftist has stands. If your ancestors were colonized, you apparently could never recover from that. You could never create a functioning society. If your ancestors were colonized and you live in America, you couldn't possibly get a job, I guess. This is the argument. So if the leftist is to be believed that all people who were colonized could not possibly form a functioning society afterwards, or individuals from those countries could never function the same as descendants of the colonizers, then we have a seriously bleak problem, as the vast majority of the world's population has been subject to colonialism. But there is another issue here that leftists hate to look at. There are a lot of Asian countries that have been colonized, and there are plenty of functioning East and Southeast Asian countries, as well as the fact that Asian Americans whose ancestors, unless they are Japanese or from Thailand, their ancestors would have been colonized at one point. Asian Americans actually make more money than white Americans do and are less likely to be in prison than white Americans are. This cannot be true if being colonized in the past means you cannot possibly overcome this and create a functioning country afterwards, and or be a functioning individual within a society. Of course, don't forget to mention Ireland, which was England's first colony, and Northern Ireland is still under English rule today in 2026. As well as the fact that the Irish Troubles were taking place when I was in grade school in the 1990s. Why are Irish Americans, of which I am half Irish, both my grandmothers are Irish Americans, making both my parents half Irish, making me half Irish, why can I have a job? Not only were we colonized in the past, but I'm related to people who are still under a colonial rule today. I mean, Haiti has been free for 200 years. Ireland's still fighting for it in the 90s when I was a kid. It's not the same answer everywhere, is the point I'm making. Anyway, if you believe in Milton Friedman's belief that Eastern Europeans as well as Western like West Asia, north of the Middle East, peoples are victims of colonialism, then why are Polish Americans, Czech Americans, Ukrainian Americans, Lithuanian Americans, etc., why are they similarly as successful as English or French Americans who were the colonizers? I mean, their ancestors were colonized. Many of them will tell you, if you talk to older Eastern Europeans or older Eastern European Americans, that it was horrific living under what Milton Friedman would call Russian colonial rule, what most people would call living under communism. But then they come to a different country, or their countries get freed of communism, and all of a sudden they're significantly more successful. So, like the same person who lived through it. This isn't 10 generations later still complaining about it and can never possibly get a job. This is like, oh, I lived through it. I was there in the 80s. I am now better off. And then, of course, there's another major problem, which is Spain. The Spanish conquistadors were, of course, the original European colonizers. They did it first. They colonized, parts of what's now America, all of Central and almost all of South America, except Brazil and a few other exceptions. If being a colonizer means that you are rich and being colonized means you are poor, why are the descendants of the Spanish conquistadors who live in South and Central America still relatively poor? Why is Spain, a Western European country, so much more poor than other Western European countries? They certainly engaged in colonialism first, and top 3 on most amount of European colonialism. It doesn't work out the way it would if colonialism equals wealthy. It just doesn't. Now, if you ask these questions to a leftist, which is like nuanced questions, they will not answer you reasonably. They'll just yell at you and go after your reputation in public, which is why so many of us have anonymous accounts. Now let's do the game theory example, but this time let's focus on what the leftist is actually thinking. In my opinion, there are 3 major points of view in the modern leftist that's yelling at you about colonialism. The first one is the most common. Number 1, I am so terrified of being called a racist and being ostracized from my friends that I will say whatever I have to prevent myself from being called a racist. So that's pretty common. I think that's going to be most of your shrieking ladies, let's say. Next, we're going to have number 2. Remember, I'm quoting a leftist here. There's quotations. I am a race realist, but it is not politically correct to say that. And so I use colonialism as a catch-all excuse for the failures of Black and Native American, Native Australian groups. I forgot to write, as well as maybe Middle Eastern people, instead of saying that they are, in my race realist opinion, genetically less capable than white, Asian, Jewish, high caste Indian people. That would, of course, be someone who is racist, but is so afraid of being called a racist and has done the math and been like, I'm just going to pretend I'm a leftist. They might even be a weird leftist, and I'm just going to say colonialism as a way to protect myself from being called a racist. Number 3, I am so clueless to world history that hearing something like Ireland was colonized by England is genuine news to me, and I will call you a liar for claiming that it was an English colony. I will never look it up afterwards, and I'm gonna call you a racist at all the same, right? Same goes for other countries that were colonized and are now successful, like South Korea and so on. So let's go through all 3 of these types of leftists in the lens of game theory. All right, so the discussion from the left. So we got Agent 1, which is the right-wing person. Agent 2 is the leftist. Agent 1's trying to cooperate, right? So Agent 1 asks why a country or an individual is failing in some way and is not as successful as others. Right? The left-wing person who's terrified of being called racist and doesn't hold any real opinions and is just afraid of the mob destroying their friendships, as they don't actually believe anything, right? They're just afraid of being accused of being racist. They view any negative criticism of, say, a black person as potential racism. That's how they view it. And they're so scared, and it is true, genuine fear, that they are going to shove the racist accusation at you faster than you can imply it to them, because they think that's it's a defense mechanism. They're so afraid of the mob. The irony is that Agent 1 was giving equal constructive criticism, right? Why did you do that? That's bad. You'd be better off if you didn't do that. Or why can't you fix it? Other people have gone through colonialism and they've fixed it. I would like you to fix it. It would be better for the whole world if you fixed it, right? So Agent 1 is operating on the assumption that race 1 equal race 2. Imagine a circle of all the races and equal signs between them. That's the assumption Agent 1 had when he asked this question. Agent 2 goes, potential racism, you've criticized a black person. Doesn't matter that you equally criticize everyone else. Attack, right? So that is the first person. The next person is when Agent 2, the leftist, is a secret race realist, right? The right-leaning person asks the same question they've been asking all night, what's wrong with this country, blah, blah, blah. In this scenario, is a leftist who's hiding the fact that they're a race realist, so they attack Agent 1 and call them racist and go after Agent 1's reputation in the attack. Agent 2 is doing this for 2 reasons. The first is the same reason, right? They're afraid of being called a racist. But they are a little bit, as they secretly are a race realist, right? But they also are of the belief that certain groups, like Africans, natives to North, Central, South America, natives to Australia, New Zealand, are simply inherently and genetically less capable than whites, Asian, Jews, maybe high caste Indians, and to them, Agent 1 holding these groups as equals, right? Race 1 equals race 2, white people equal black person, right? Asian person equals black person, Asian person overcame colonialism, why can't black person, right? Aren't you equals? That's what Agent 1's saying, that's what Agent 1's doing. Holding these groups to the same standard as the rest is similar to holding a toddler or a mentally challenged adult to the same standard as an adult, right? So that this person sees race 1 as toddler who needs to be taken care of and race 2 as adult. This would of course be very upsetting, right? If you told me that my, almost 1-year-old was an equal to an adult and needed to go get a job, that would be upsetting to me because that is a toddler. So this is why Agent 2 is scared of being called racist and angry at the same time, right? This is why they're so angry, and they're lying to Agent 1. Agent 1 doesn't know any of this and is frustrated that he's being called racist specifically because he believes race 1 equal race 2. Why not race 1 do what race 2 can do, right? So Agent 1 is being specifically called racist because he is treating the races like equals. And he's being called racist by someone who is secretly a racist. Next. Again, Agent 1, right-leaning person who asks the same question, what's wrong with this country? Why can't they fix this problem? Colonialism was 300 years ago in this country's scenario. This leftist is clueless to world history. They just assume, I don't know anything and I'm going to be loud about it. They just assume brown skin equal colonized, white skin equal colonizer. And again, Agent 1, I'm assuming race 1 equals race 2. And why can't we hold them to the same standard? Agent 2 is responding with two things in mind. Just like the first two, she is afraid of being ostracized from her social group and is attacking Agent 1's reputation out of fear and calling him racist before she can get called a racist. The second thing that's happening here is this. Let's assume Agent 1 says India was a colony, but Indian Americans are more financially successful and less likely to go to prison than white Americans. If this is true, why can't other peoples whose ancestors were colonized make smart life choices like Indian Americans and become successful? Agent 2 in this scenario will know so little about history that she will likely not even address your statement and simply scream racist and personally attack you until you become defensive and stop talking. She will interpret this as her winning the argument. Let's say Agent 1 says Ireland was England's first colony. Northern Ireland is still under English control today, while places like Haiti have been free from colonizers for over 200 years. The Irish were still car bombing and fighting the English as recent as the 1990s. If colonialism is the reason for all of people's problems, why are the Irish successful both in Ireland and in America, where the Irish are the third largest ethnic group? Why is Ireland a successful country and Haiti is not? In response, Agent 2 will, and this has personally happened to me, call you a liar and say that Ireland was never colonized, making discourse impossible. I think we all know the quote I'm quoting. These conversations have been going on for so long and have become so ridiculous that even if I say a black American that has 4 baby mamas, refuses to pay child support, refuses to work, is in and out of prison for most of his life, and is not falsely accused. Like everyone he knows personally knows he does these things, right? A leftist will unironically say that this is because of colonialism and slavery and nothing else. It's actually the white guy's fault that he stabbed you, if you think about it. But if a white person lives the exact same life, not only is it his fault, but we are allowed to criticize his life choices as if he could have done better. This is the left refusing to allow others to treat races like equals and hold an equal standard, the one I keep pointing out that Agent 1, the conservative, the right-leaning guy has, right? White guy equal black guy, therefore, if white guy can do it, so can black guy, right? Left-wingers hate this. They hate this about race. This is the left refusing to allow others to go, to equal standard. Again, they will normally use the colonialism excuse, and if you ever ask, what's the time limit on that? How many years until people can finally overcome what happened over 200 years ago? They will never answer the question. They will simply get angry that you asked and personally attack you. And whether they are a secret race realist or, clueless or just afraid, this seems to be the big difference between what I call the Gen X millennial right, you're my equal, I can treat you like an equal, and the Gen X millennial boomer zoomer left, right? That race is a toddler. If you treat him like an adult, you're a bad person. You're an adult. You have to take care of yourself and the toddlers. This seems to be the left-wing opinion. It is my belief that since this conversation has never been allowed to grow past "you're a racist" for asking these questions, the new right wing that's coming from the Zoomer generation seems to be interpreting this data from these interactions as follows. I cannot treat the following races as equals: blacks, Africans, Middle Eastern people, natives to the America and Australia, right? I can treat these races as equals: whites, East and Southeast Asians, Jews, and high caste Indians, but not all, and I'll make a video about that later, but I think those of you who know. And this is very clearly coming out with some Zoomers, right? This is largely because the previous generations of conservatives, let's say Gen X and Millennial, I am Millennial, attempted to treat the races as equals. You can make the joke that we attempted to treat the races autistically like equals, right? You're my equal can work. You're my equal can stop committing crimes. Blah, 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 you get it. My ancestors were colonized by England, I got over it. Why can't you? That is technically equal. The left doesn't like it, but it is. And the left freaked out when certain groups were held to the same standard as everyone else and tried to use the catch-all. But 200 years ago, Haiti was a French colony. They could never possibly stop committing all these crimes as a forever excuse. The left did not freak out when we treated East Asians whose ancestors were colonized as equals. You treat an East Asian like an equal, a left-winger's not going to scream at you for it. Not the same way they'd scream at you if you did that to a black person. I can personally, and do, treat the Vietnamese Americans who go to my church like equals. A leftist will never call me racist when I point out that Vietnam was a colony. China, France, briefly Japan, then France again, they all colonized Vietnam. And Vietnamese Americans are perfectly capable of working and solving their own regular everyday problems. And people expect them to. There's no, oh, but they were colonized 100 years ago by the French. No one says that about the Vietnamese ever. Not in the defensive, you can't possibly expect them to work conversation. Zoomers see this and they can tell the left clearly believes, or acts like they believe, even if they're not self-aware, in a race-based hierarchy, and colonialism is not equally spread out as an excuse for all peoples who were actually colonized. And if so-called liberals do not allow you to treat the races as equals, then after a while people will not treat the races like equals. This is what's happening with the Zoomers. And hey, maybe the race realists are right. I mean, they certainly have a stronger argument than whatever I was born as best, right? The list of people you're allowed to treat as equals are certainly more successful than the ones you're not allowed to. But let me know in the comments what you think about this, what you think about my interpretation of this conversation. My dream is a high trust society. I am the Mobious Strip, and I want to live in a high trust society, and I want you to as well. My videos will show current and historic events as well as discussions in regards to game theory and second order effects. Come join me and let me know how much you disagree in the comments below. If you have a full-blown argument with someone in my comment section, that will have the second order effect of the algorithm sending my video to more people. Follow me on X and look at my posts, but never look at the comments I make under other people's posts. Oh my goodness. Stay safe, find cooperative folks, work hard, play, pray, and relax, and I will see you later.